Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Redmen TV and your latest episode of Oppo Preview. My name is Dan Club. I'm delighted to be joined by a man who played for both Leicester and Liverpool, and he played for them both pretty well as well. It's Emile Heskey. Emile, how are you, mate? You okay?
Good morning. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good, thanks, mate. Top man, thanks very much for joining me for this. Yeah, 223 Liverpool appearances, 168 Leicester appearances. I also noticed you played 18 times against the Reds. Never managed to score, but you scored 3 goals for Liverpool against Leicester, all at Anfield, and they were all winners as well, mate. So we know where your allegiances are, buddy, don't we? Let's talk. Let's talk about Leicester, shall we? It's been a difficult season to say the least. And what do you put it down to? There's obviously been injuries, there's been managerial changes, but ultimately, was the squad just not equipped for the Premier League?
I think that's the main thing. When you're coming into a league and you know how difficult it is, and even now, when you're looking at the difference between the Championship and the Premier League, the gulf is huge. So you've got to be able to prepare for that, spend money on the right players, bringing in and strengthening. The one thing we had to do at Leicester was get equipped for the PSR. So you ended up selling players rather than actually buying players, and then you go and buy a player and it's 3 million. There's clubs up and down this country paying more than 3 million for 15-year-olds. So it just showed where we were at that moment in time, and we can't have a go at the owners. We can't have a go at anyone because the reality is over the years they've shown that they will spend and they're ready to spend. But if you can't spend, then what can you do?
Yeah, it's been difficult, hasn't it? You're right to mention the PSR. There was obviously the problems early season. There was talk about a points reduction before the league had
Mm-hmm.
even begun. So did well to navigate that, but it definitely left you short in quality and maybe experience as well when it comes to the Premier League. There's always been problems at both ends of the pitch, I think it's fair to say. But I did want to discuss, obviously, former striker yourself, Jamie Vardy. Now, he's been a phenomenal, he had a brilliant career, but he's 38 now and he's the top goal
Mm-hmm.
scorer with 7 goals this season.
Yeah.
Like that kind of underlines at least one of the issues, I guess.
But yeah, look, I think from what Jamie Vardy has done, it's going to be very difficult to replace that. But at some stage, you need to replace it. You can't keep playing a 38-year-old and think he's going to give you what he gave you 10 years ago. And especially in the way that, in the manner that he actually plays, you got to remember he's all energy. He doesn't give the defenders a minute, and you can't expect him to keep doing that. And but it shows the state of affairs because again, if he's still our main striker, what's happened to the others? And we possibly need to be looking at replacing him. And I still think he's got a major part to play because whoever comes in needs to know, needs to learn from Jamie Vardy because you can't take away all that knowledge and not give it back. I think he's ready to do that, but he's got to be with the right player. And we haven't found that yet.
No, absolutely. Just finally on Leicester, obviously, Virgil van Dijk is the manager as we speak, and it's been a very, very difficult start to life at the King Power for him. Bit of a baptism of fire, really, in his Premier League managerial career from a permanent basis. For Leicester now, obviously, the writing's on the wall in terms of relegation, but is it just about trying to end the season as positively as possible? Maybe see some green shoots for the future?
Yeah, look, I think that's the major thing, especially for fans. I think it's inevitable that we're going down. But what can we see for next season? What can we see for the future? You see Monga coming on. You see Jake Evans coming on. Young players like that who you can look and say, well, yeah, that's another one for the next 10 years who can propel us. We've lost Dewsbury Hall, and that was my personal opinion that was to do with PSR as well. Um, and that's a homegrown lad. Harvey Barnes is another one who's doing fantastic at this moment in time. We could definitely do with his goals right now. Who's scoring goals, who's entertaining, who's looking fantastic, who's gone and who's had to leave because of the problems that the club are in. But we've got so many more that could come through, and I think that's one of the major things for the clubs and for fans to look forward to because we feel a connection in that sense to some of the younger players and especially academy players coming through. So I think that's one of the major things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you need that positivity. You need something to hang your hat on, don't you, as a fan when you are where
Yeah,
you are in the league. And it may well be the young players, as you mentioned, because yeah, it's been a difficult season to say the least. A team that hasn't had a difficult season, Emile, I need to get you on the Reds while we're here. As we record this, we are on the brink, 6 points away, maybe not even that, depending on what Arsenal doing for the Premier League title. Like we've spoken before this season, mate, but as we stand right now, it's been a remarkable campaign.
yeah, it has. The funny thing is, no one could have foreseen that because coming in to hot seat, replacing one of the best managers, not only in for Liverpool but in the league. A manager that was loved by the league, loved by the press. That's not an easy feat as well. Um, Coming in and then really, I think was it Chiesa the only
Yeah.
signing, um, and but then hit the ground running and just little things that he's implemented that allowed us as fans to see, okay, this looks a little bit different, but it's working, and allowed him to understand what his squad was, and they're performing in such a manner that it looks great. Um, yeah, so you got to take your hat off to him because it was a difficult task coming in following Jurgen.
Yeah, it certainly was. Yeah, and he's done it in some style, it's fair to say. Just want to ask you about the number 9 situation. We spoke before we went live talking about sort of number 9s in youth football and academy level and what have you,
Yeah,
and how sort of it's a bit of a dying art, really. I think the out and out
yeah,
striker. But
it's.
I think with Arne Slot, we've seen he's tried Jota in there, he's tried Darwin Núñez in there. None of them have really worked. What have you made of sort of the way he's tried to get something out of them? I think previously he has used the number 9 quite a lot and quite central to what he wants to do, but yeah, there's not quite the answer at the moment in Liverpool.
I think number 9 is a it's an interesting position that we're in now in football really. Um, you're looking at say for argument's sake the way that I played. You don't see that up and down. I think Woods is the only one, and everyone's praising him. But if you go back 25 years, you could find three of them in every club doing exactly the same thing. So I think it's changed a little bit with the way that football has changed, but it is always a place for it. And because at times it didn't look like it was, it didn't look glamorous. I think everyone wants to be an 11 or a 7 or a 10. No one really wanted to put the hard yards in as a 9. And now we're missing them. And now as well, it's about understanding of where you make your runs, when you make your runs, how you make your runs, when to get involved, when not to get involved because you're just cramping up everyone else's space. So I think there's a lot to be learned from that. We always see it in waves anyway. We saw it in waves of when I was playing. The defenders were defenders. They weren't necessarily. I wouldn't say they weren't great on the ball, but it wasn't their main priority. It was about defending, putting their neck on the line. And then there was a massive, massive call for defenders that played out, and that changed. And then now we've gone to the point where we're begging for defenders to actually defend now again. So it'll always come back round. And I think forwards will come back round as well.
Yeah, I tend to agree as well. I think Liverpool will probably enter the market for one this summer. You mentioned defenders wanting to defend there. One defender who is very, very good at the art of defending is Virgil van Dijk. Now, as we speak, he hasn't quite confirmed that new 2-year deal yet, but we are expecting it imminently, Emile. I mean, yeah, how important will that be for Liverpool? Obviously, I had the Salah news last week. We're expecting Van Dijk this time around. Like the captain, the leader, brilliant central defender, huge, huge boost.
Oh, it's massive. And like you're saying, it's the captain, it's the leader, it's the one that everyone looks to. And not only that, it's the one that's going to inspire the next generation who's going to take over that mantle. You always need someone. We spoke about it just then about David Vardy having a role to play for the next generation, and I think Virgil's exactly the same. Understanding you when you look at who plays next to him, they always look more comfortable. They always look more assertive. They always look more understanding of what their actual role is. And that's what a leader does. He passes on that knowledge. And I think that's one of the key things for me that Virgil's going to be. He's passing on that knowledge. He's like a Rolls Royce, isn't he? He'll keep going and going and going.
Yeah, love that. Absolutely love that. Finally, then, Emile, I've got to ask you. I have to ask this every single time I do the show. It must be even more impossible for you, but a prediction ahead of the weekend: Leicester against Liverpool at the King Power.
Look, I think it's obvious that Liverpool will go it there and really go and attack it. I think Leicester haven't scored at home in 7 or 8. So it's not looking great for them. And Liverpool are on the ascendants. They've got Mo signing a new contract, so he'll be very very confident as well. So I expect a Liverpool win.
Yeah, Emile, top man. Thanks so much for your time. As ever, massively appreciated. Everybody else, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Take care. I'll see you soon.